You step up to speak, and the eyes of the audience lock onto yours. In that exact moment, your brain registers a collision. It hits you with a massive dump of adrenaline, a feeling of accelerating molecules that sends your physical body into an immediate state of panic. For a rookie speaker, that biological override usually ends in disaster. You start speaking entirely too fast, you lose your words altogether. The physical environment suddenly feels like a trap. I learned this the hard way early in my career, speaking at a massive, cavernous space called Methodist Central Hall. I stepped up, totally panicked, and as if things couldn't get worse, my microphone broke. I was forced to shout into this giant void, only to hear a voice from the back yell, "Speak up!" That paralyzing shame stems from the sensation that an audience's external judgment has replaced your own internal control. It creates a physical dependency on the eyes in the room, where your self-worth is dictated by their silence or their jeers. Our highly visual culture treats confidence like a garment you can simply wear on the outside. We assume that looking the part is enough to be the part. But the biological reality of panic is much deeper. When you get stressed, your breathing pattern shifts, trapping air high in the chest. This shallow, restricted airflow creates the high-pitched, adrenaline-fueled tone we recognize as fear. Confidence functions as an invisible, biological engine located entirely under the bonnet. To stabilize the performance, you have to understand how to drive the mechanics of the engine. Think of the voice as an acoustic instrument. Like a guitar relies on a plucked string, your body uses vocal cords as its vibrating string. Air is the hitter. A voice that fails is simply an instrument suffering from poor airflow and lack of practice. Thousands of years ago, a man named Demosthenes figured this out. He wanted to be a rock star orator in ancient Greece, but his first time on stage, he completely bombed. He was uncouth, he stammered, and the audience practically jeered him out of the assembly. Instead of giving up, he took a radical approach to training. He shaved half his head so he'd be too embarrassed to leave his house. He locked himself in an underground cellar for 3 months to train his vocal cords. And when he finally went outside, he stood on the shore and forced himself to speak over the roar of the ocean waves. When he returned to the assembly, he was recognized as one of the greatest orators of his era. He proved that vocal authority is not a genetic gift. It is a physical capability built through relentless, mechanical practice. If air is the energy that drives this instrument, you have to identify what controls the air. That brings us to the diaphragm, the most powerful regulator in the human body. The main biological problem during anxiety is that we cannot consciously negotiate with our organs. You cannot tell your spleen to calm down or command your heart to stop racing during an adrenaline dump. But as emotion researcher Paul Ekman discovered, the breath is the one physical function that straddles both systems. It happens automatically, but you can also take conscious control of it, influencing the unconscious nervous system through deliberate movement. Engaging the diaphragm actually interrupts the feedback loop of panic. It forces the body into a state of steady control, much like an actor playing a monarch who commands the room by remaining perfectly still. Activating this system requires a specific physical sensation. One yoga teacher demonstrates this by having students lie on the floor with a gym weight on their stomach, forcing them to lift the weight with their breath until the diaphragm shudders into action. Legendary actor Laurence Olivier learned to isolate this exact same muscle by physically pushing his body against a heavy grand piano every time he inhaled. You can find this muscle by placing your thumb right below your ribs. As you breathe in, actively push your stomach out against it, feeling the ribs expand to fill the body with a steady supply of air. Expanding the ribs and breathing low anchors the body physically, holding steady against the rising tide of adrenaline. This mechanical control of volume also regulates emotion. The Romans understood this connection. The Latin root for inspiration, meaning to breathe in, is the exact same root used for gathering thoughts. There is a strict biological rule to human speech. All spoken words occur on the out-breath. This makes the in-breath the critical window where your thought and emotion are physically gathered and prepared. A woman I worked with relied on this mechanic on the hardest day of her life. Her husband died suddenly on their honeymoon, and she had to deliver his eulogy. To find the energy of celebration for the man she loved, she used low and slow breathing to maintain her composure. Low, slow breathing provides the control necessary to translate an internal emotion into a clear external message, regardless of the stakes of the moment. Harnessing steady power requires taking control of the in-breath. This is where you gather your thoughts and dictate how your voice will represent you. The most effective way to trigger this biological engine of confidence is surprisingly simple. You just have to know when to shut your mouth.